Alicia here. Welcome to your yoga class. Today's class is going to be gentle yoga for processing. And this could be processing anything. Maybe you're processing trauma. Maybe you're processing a memory, an intense dream that you had last night, some shadow work that you're doing, an intense or a difficult emotion. Or maybe you're just feeling some sensations in the body and you don't know if they're linked to emotions and you don't know why they're there, but they're there and you're trying to just feel your way through them. And that's the best way to go about it. So I want to talk a little bit about that because sometimes I'm going to use the example of having heart pain and a heartache versus sadness. So sometimes we feel a sensation in the body, such as a heartache, or that the heart is just in pain. And sometimes we're not necessarily sensing an emotion. We just know it hurts, and we don't know why, and that's okay. And in those moments, it's important to drop out of the mind and into the body, and to feel your way through that. Just be super present with that heartache. Other times, you might experience heartache and also feel an emotion of sadness and feel the need to emote or express that emotion and cry or whatever that emotion is calling you to do. And sometimes you just experience the sadness and you don't know if there's this, you don't necessarily feel a sensation. So it's always important in these moments to check in with the body and to do what the body is asking you to do. Sometimes you just need to sit with, be present with, and feel through that heartache. Sometimes you need to do that same thing and your body is asking you to cry. You feel I just want to cry. Well, go cry. Let it out. Sometimes we experience anger and we just feel like screaming, and that's okay. That's okay. It's better to let it out than to keep it locked and trapped inside of you. And so if sensations arise during this practice, be with them, feel them, give them all of your presence and attention. And if emotions come up and you feel the need to express them in some way, maybe shed some tears, maybe scream, or whatever you gotta, grab a pillow, scream into a pillow, whatever you gotta do, cool, do it, please do it. So on that note, I would advise being in as safe a space as you can be. So maybe you live with parents or with roommates or with a partner. If you can, try to go into a separate room, lock the door, maybe let them know to hey, I'm about to do yoga for processing and some stuff might come up. I might be screaming into a pillow or crying. I'm fine. I'll come check in with you when I'm done, or whatever you got to do. All right. And then what you might want, or what you'll need, at least for one of the poses, is a block. And if you don't have a block, no worries. You can always use a Harry Potter-sized book. And if you don't have a Harry Potter-sized book, you won't need it. I'll give a modification so you won't need a prop. They're great. Blocks are awesome. If you haven't invested in some, I would. But you can always, for other poses that we go into, you might like some length between your hand and the ground. This is great. So you can use a water bottle if that's the case. But for the specific pose that I'm referring to, I'll just give a modification for that. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with a little bit of a body scan. So get seated, crisscross applesauce, sukhasana. We're going to be gentle and slow throughout the practice. So we're going to take time in each one of the poses. I meant to say that. I guess that's inferred by the title of the class, but whatever. All right, start with your hands either face up towards the sky or palms face down. Doesn't matter which. Close the eyes and tune into the breath. Dropping into the body. Start to take a body scan by starting at the crown of the head and then slowly scanning your way down the body to hunt for any sensations. Or if you're experiencing any emotions, you can see if you can locate where those emotions are living. So scanning down through the head, down the face. If you notice any tension, also just try to see if you can soften as you bring your awareness to it. Down, the jaw. See if you're clenching the jaw and clench it. Bring the awareness down through the neck, down into the shoulders, allowing yourself to sink deeper and deeper into the mat beneath you, down your arms, down into your hands, down into your collarbones, your chest, and down the torso, down the spine, into the ribs, down into the abdomen, feeling through the gut, dropping down into the hips, down into the glutes, the bum, down into the upper legs, the thighs, down into the knees, into the lower half of the legs, the calves, the shins, the ankles, the feet, the toes. And then ease the awareness back up the body. One last time. You can go a little quicker this time. Just bring the awareness back up. And when you get back into your head, we're not bringing it back into a head in terms of our awareness. We want to keep the awareness with the body. But I mean, when the awareness has gotten back to the crown of the head, I want you to gently open your eyes. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, bring your chin down to your chest. Inhale, bring right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin down to chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, sweep the arms up as you reach your gaze back up. Chin comes back to neutral. Exhale, take a stretch over to the right. Right hand comes to mat. Right elbow reaches down toward mat. Doesn't need to touch. Take a cycle of breath here. Feel into the stretch. Inhale, bring arms up overhead. Exhale, take a twist to the left, or not a twist, a stretch. Left hand comes to mat, left elbow goes down towards mat. Take a cycle of breath here. Inhale, bring arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come down. Transfer onto all fours for some cat and cows. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the gaze, arch the back. Exhale, curve the spine, drop the gaze. Bring the belly button to the spine. Inhale into cow. Exhale, cat. You can move at your own pace and do a couple more. Moving as slowly, as gently as you wish, as feels good for you. And maybe you need to shift the body around here. My body's asking me to create some circles and to shift the hips around And so if that feels good for you and that's your body's feeling that too, go for it. So I really want you to tune into what the body is asking of you right now in terms of what does it need? And if there are emotions or feelings and sensations, how can you be with them and how can you honor them? And I know for me, when I'm going slow and gentle like this, when I am processing anything, my body likes to milk things. And so if you're the same way, then milk it, but maybe your body's different. Maybe your body doesn't like to go super deep like my body does. Maybe it needs to ease off more. And that's cool, ease off, go into be gentle with everything that you do. All right, start to walk the hands forward onto the mat and then melt the chest down toward the mat. Bring the chin to the mat for puppy pose or melting heart. Utilizing that ujjayi breath. One more cycle of breath here. As you inhale, start to walk the hands back toward the body as you bring the body back off of the mat. Inhale, reach the right arm up overhead, open up the chest to the ceiling. Exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left. For thread the needle, bring the right shoulder down to the mat. On the exhale, you can keep the left hand where it is. You can walk it forward, or you can bring it up, back, and around, and hook the left hand onto the inside edge of the right inner thigh, opening up the chest toward the sky as much as you can. Take one more cycle of breath here. Inhale, lift. If you have the arm tucked around and behind and onto the inside edge of your right arm, bring the left arm up overhead on an inhale. Exhale, left hand to mat. You can bring your left hand in if you had it extended forward. Inhale, extend right arm back up overhead. Open up the chest. Bring right arm back behind you. Exhale, right hand down to mat. Other side, inhale, left arm comes up. Open up the chest. Left arm can come back behind you toward this opposite wall. Exhale, thread the needle. Left arm comes underneath the right arm as you bring right shoulder down to the mat. You can keep your right hand on the mat. You can scooch it forward, or if you took it on the other side, make sure to match it. Bring the right arm up, back, and around, and tuck the right hand onto the inside edge of the left inner thigh. Open up that chest as much as you can if you have that right hand hooked. Take one more cycle of breath. Inhale. If you have the right hand hooked, bring the right arm up. Exhale, right hand comes back down. Inhale, unwind, bring left arm up towards sky, open up the chest, bring left hand back behind you, opening up heart as much as possible. Exhale, bring left hand down to mat. We're going to walk the hands a little bit forward here and then just shift the hips forward. So for this class, what we're going to do is a different style of making our way down to the mat. So instead of doing a chaturanga push-up like we normally would, we're going to drop if you want to watch this first one, go for it, and then join me. So Gonna shift the hips forward, keep the knees down on the mat. When you bend the elbows, yes, you're gonna still keep them close to your sides, but you're gonna bring the chest down to the mat and then the chin, and keep the butt up in the air. A little bit of an arched back here. And then slide the body through and up to a baby cobra. So if you were watching that time, just go ahead and do it with me now. Shift the weight forward on the inhale. Exhale, bring the chest down and then the chin. And then slide your body through into a baby cobra. Bending elbows. Upper body is up. Inhale. Exhale, bring chest down to the mat. Bring your hands wide like you're making an upside down goalpost here. And then come up onto fingertips as though you're making little tents with your hands. Inhale, you're gonna wave the body up. And then exhale, dip the right shoulder down toward the mat as you tuck and look underneath your left arm. So I'm gonna face the camera at a different angle. In case you can't see, you're just dipping like so. Inhale, come up. Exhale, dip the left shoulder, look under the right arm. Inhale, roll it up. Exhale, dip the right shoulder, look under the left. Inhale, come up, wave it up. Exhale, dip left shoulder, look under the right. Inhale, wave it up. Exhale, wave it down. I'm gonna scooch it back. Tuck the toes and start to make your way into your first downward dog. If you need to keep a generous bend in the knees here, go for it. And start to walk out the dog, bending one knee and then the other. You can play with shifting the hips over to the left and then the right if that feels good for you. And then find some stillness. Try to work those heels back down toward the mat if you can. If they don't quite reach, that's okay. Try to work the knees towards straight, but again, if you need to keep them bent, that's okay. And check in with the body. Where are those sensations? Where are you at with those emotions? Just be present with everything that's coming up. And allow yourself to feel it all. Making space for what those elements of self need right now. And I say of self, you're not your emotions, just like you're not your body. But they are tools to help you understand yourself better and to help you give yourself the attention in areas that you need it. Inhale, lift the right leg up, back behind you into a three-legged dog. Go ahead and open up the hips if that feels good for you. I personally love opening up the hips, but if you want to keep the hips closed and the right hip parallel with the ground, you can do that. What does your body need today? My hips want to open up, so I'm going to give that to them. You can bend the top right knee and create some circles with the knee, going in one direction and then the other. Inhale, drop the hip back down if you had it opened. Keep the right leg up in the air. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose. And step the right foot between the hands. Drop the left knee down to the mat. Bring the right hand to the inside edge of the right foot and heel toe the right foot out towards the edge of the mat. If you need to pivot the foot and bring the toes so that they're facing towards the long edge of the mat. And always make sure that your right knee, or that your knee in general, is going in the Same direction as the toes. Getting a we're opening up the hip flexor. If you want to put that right hand on the right knee, you can open up to the right side, taking a little bit of a twist to the right, and just opening up the body. And if you want to, you can bring the elbows down to the mat. You can shift from right to left. You've also got an option of tucking the back toes and bringing the right knee up off of the mat and shifting forward and back. Also, another option is to, if you've got the knee up, bring it back down. You can bend the left knee and hug that left foot in towards the bum by catching it with the right foot. If you can't quite reach that back foot, you can always use a towel to wrap around your foot and hug it in. My apologies, I wasn't expecting to do this pose, so I didn't mention the towel, but it just felt right. So if you've got one nearby, or if you need to pause the video to grab it if you need it, go for it. This pose isn't an absolute necessity. If you want to skip it, you can. If you are holding in that back knee, go ahead and release it gently and slowly straighten out that left knee. Heel toe the right foot back into where it was when you started. Inhale, shift the hips forward as you sweep the arms up overhead for Anjaneyasana. Try to keep this strong even though it is a little bit of a stretchy pose. Take an inhale. Exhale as you shift the hips back, arms sweep forward and back behind you. They can either come back behind you like an airplane or they can come to the ground. This is where some water bottles or some blocks might be great if you want some extra length between your hands and the ground. If you don't need them, then you don't need them. You can shift, you can play around here by creating a windmill effect with or a windshield wiper, there we go, with the front foot by bringing the toes out and then in, getting a deep hamstring stretch. You can even walk the hands over to the right side of the body if this is accessible for you to intensify the stretch. Only if this feels good for you. Like I said earlier, I really like super stretchy, deep stretching when I need to process and just be with the body, because my body loves that. So what does your body need? Maybe your body needs a little bit more gentleness, and that's cool. Inhale, shift the weight forward. Exhale, step the right foot back. You're gonna keep those knees down on the ground. And then bring the weight forward on an inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows, chin and chest, down to the mat. Inhale, come forward through to a baby cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes, downward dog. Deep inhale, complete full exhale, side out the mouth. Check in with the body. How's the body doing? Inhale, let's take it on the other side. Lift the left leg up, back, and behind you into three-legged dog. If you want to go ahead and open up the hips, if you did it on the other side, do it again. Make sure your weight stays evenly distributed between both hands and both shoulders. You can bend the top left knee and take some circles with the knee going in one direction and then the other direction. Inhale, drop the left hip back down so it's parallel with the mat. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the foot between the hands. Drop the right knee down to the mat. Bring the left arm to the inside edge of the left foot as you heel toe out the left foot over to the long edge of the mat. Bring the toes, pivot them so that they are facing toward the outside edge of the mat, but they're still angled. Your knee is going to make sure it's going in the same direction as your toes. And you can shift here. You got some options here. So, to remind you, some of those options are you can stay here. You can bring the elbows down to the mat. You can, if you're down on the mat, your elbows are down on the mat, you can tuck the back right toes and lift the right knee up off of the mat and shift forward and back. Another option is you can bend the back right knee and bring the foot up towards the bum and hug it in with that left hand. If you need to take a towel here to wrap it around that foot and bring it in, if you need that extra length, go for it. Remember, try not to compare what your version of any of these poses look like to my version. Our bodies are different. We do different things daily. We've done different things our entire lives. You know, there's biochemical differences. There's so many differences. And so if you're going to compare to yourself and where you were yesterday. And always have grace with yourself. But remember, this is not a competition between you and I. Okay? I'm just here to guide. I'm here to support. I'm here to love. And ideally, you're learning how to do that for yourself as well. Support, guide, and love yourself. All right, if you've got that right foot pulled in, go ahead and release it gently and slowly back down to the mat. Heel toe the right foot back to the center. Well, it's not totally center. If you think about having two tracks like skis, it's going to be on the left ski or the left track. Bring the hips forward, inhale, shift the arms up overhead for Anjaneyasana. Feel into this pose without releasing too much. I can even feel my own tendency, like I just want to totally like melt into this pose. And that can be a little dangerous for some of the connective tissue and stuff like that, especially if you're super flexible. So if you are super flexible, try to hold some strength into this pose. You can still create that stretch without just like totally relaxing into it. Deep inhale. Exhale, shift the arms forward as you bring the hips back, straighten the right knee. Hands can come back behind you into an airplane, or you can bring the hands down to the mat. Again, if you want to rest them on blocks or water bottles, you can do so. You can play with shifting the toes in and out like a windshield wiper. Deep hamstring stretch. And again, no comparisons here. Your body may look different. You might be far up off the ground, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're far in life. It doesn't mean you're far from the goal. It just means your body might be a little tighter and just need a little extra loving. And you know what? We all could use a little extra loving, but just give yourself grace and patience and compassion because you deserve it. And you're going through a lot right now, and you're processing a lot right now, and you're doing a really great job. You're doing an excellent job. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here for yourself and prioritizing yourself. All right, go ahead and walk the hands over to the left side of the body if this is accessible for you. If it's not, stay where you originally were. Intensifying the stretch a little bit more. All right, and then you're going to bring the right hand back over. Shift the hips forward, bend the left knee. You're going to bring that left leg back to meet the right. Knees stay on the mat. Shift the weight forward, inhale. Exhale, chin and chest down to the mat. Exhale, or we just did exhale. Inhale, brings you forward into a baby cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes. Downward dog. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, side out the mouth. Let's take two more. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, side out the mouth. Last one, in through the nose. Exhale, side out the mouth. Start to walk the hands back toward the feet. And then release the hands off of the mat. Keep this forward fold and bring hands to find opposite elbows. And just swing
left to right. If you need to keep or get a micro bend in those knees, that's perfectly fine. Find stillness, drop the hands, release the hands, and then work those hands or those arms up and around, back behind you. Interlace the fingers. Bring the heels of the hands, the palms together, and start to bring those arms up overhead, like toward the mat. Just stretching out those shoulders. See if you can release the body. If you need a micro bend in the knees, take it. Release the hands on the exhale. Inhale, bring hands to shins and come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Gazes down, bring belly button to spine. Exhale, forward fold. Sink it down, moving slow, inching our way through this, and then start to walk the hands back onto the mat for the downward dog. Inhale, bring the right leg up off the mat. Exhale, knee to nose. Bring the right foot between the hands. Heel toe that right foot towards the left hand and start to drop that right knee down toward the mat for Kapotasana, pigeon pose. Bring the left hip down toward the mat. If your hips are off of the mat a little bit, it's where your handy dandy block comes in handy. Just tuck it underneath that right hip if you don't have a block. You can use a pillow, a blanket. My bad, I should have mentioned that one earlier too. My apologies. You might just want to have those objects by your yoga mat. Especially if you know that for pigeon, you need some extra cushion, because how often do we do pigeon in yoga, right? Like all the freaking time. So, it's good to have a blanket nearby or a pillow or a block. Start to bring, but my apologies. I don't mean to put that on you. I didn't mention it. That's on me. If it feels good for you, go ahead and bring the elbows down toward the mat. And I totally forgot to mention too, ideally you want not ideally, but depending on your body, you might want the shin to be as close to parallel with the short edge of the mat as you can get it. But if that's too intense on the knee and on the body, you can always bring that right heel back toward that left hip. And then again, if it feels good for you, you can bring the elbows down to the mat. And if you want to take it farther, you can stack hands and bring the third eye down to the mat. You can also stack fists and bring third eye to the top fist. Yogi's choice. Check in with the body. And maybe you've had some sensations occurring because of what you're processing. And maybe as you move through these poses, you notice sensations because of the pose that we're in. So just be present with it all and take a check-in. Where are those sensations at? How are they feeling for you? If you feel an urge to cry, to scream, to hit something, do it. And, with the hit something, please be discerning here. Like, don't hurt any living beings. Please do not hurt yourself. If you need to hit something, hit a pillow. Please, please, please. I am definitely not advocating for violence here. I am advocating for expression of emotions if they need to be released, and sitting with sensations if they need to be felt. Take one more cycle of breath here. If you are down on your elbows or down on your hands, start to walk your body back up. You're going to shift your weight onto that right hip and bring the left hip or the left leg over the right. Bring the right knee so it's in the center of the top of the mat, and bring the left knee over top. We're gonna do half Gomukhasana. This is another great, great pose to use a block if you need it. So you're just gonna have left knee crossed over right knee. Shins can be as far forward or as much tucked in as you need it. It will intensify the pose the more forward or parallel you have the shins with the front edge of your mat. And then you're just gonna relax over. You don't need the block. If you've got one and you want to use it, you can always work your way. You might even want to. You can work your way to rest the head on those blocks. Again, if you don't have blocks, you don't need them. You can just relax over. This pose can be really intense, so see if you can just be with the intensity, be with the sensations. Try not to avoid them or distract from them. Just be with them, feel them, give them your presence. And just like the sensations that may arise in intense poses, you want to give any sensations that arise in your body on a day-to-day basis outside of yoga that same attention. It's not about attaching, it's not about avoiding, it's just about allowing, being totally present for it all. See if you can allow your exhales to sink you deeper into the pose. If you're using a support system underneath your head, you may want to remove one of them and see if you can sink a little deeper. But if you're like, no, I'm not feeling it today, then don't. And don't do it. Inhale, start to bring yourself back up, moving slowly, moving gently. Whoo. And then you're going to stack the shins now for a fire log pose. So your left ankle is over your right knee, left knee is over right ankle. I hope that wasn't confusing. Sometimes I get confused when I describe this. No, I don't get confused, but I confuse my words, like the right and the left. So left ankle over right knee, left knee over right ankle. I got it right. And then you're just going to start to, again, forward fold over the legs. And just another clarifier, you don't want that right foot over the right knee. It is the left foot over the right knee. It's the left ankle. So the right foot is kind of hanging out the side there. Activate that foot. Bring a flex into that left foot. Keep the bones safe. Again, you can always rest your head onto some stacked blocks here if that feels good, if you've got them available to you. If you don't worry about it. See if your exhales can take you deeper. Notice if you're clenching the jaw and unclench it. Take one more cycle of breath here. And then start to walk your body back up. Ooh, okay, I'm going to come to face the front of the mat, probably how you are still facing. Okay, you're going to slowly bring the right hand forward onto the mat. Bring the left leg, you're going to swing it back. That right knee stays bent. Come up onto the knee and just take a stretch here. Bring left arm up overhead. And push that right hip forward towards the long edge, the left long edge of your mat, to stretch out that right inner groin area. Bring left hand back down to mat. Let me move these out of the way so you can see me. And step right foot back into downward dog. You're going to take that all on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up into three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee. Bring it into Kapotasana, pigeon pose. So right foot goes towards right arm, left knee towards left hand. Again, make any adjustments you need. If you need to block under that hip, if you need to bring the foot toward that right hip, do it. If it feels good for you, and if you did it on the other side, bring the elbows down to the mat. If you want to take it deeper, stack hands, stack fists, and bring forehead down to the hands. Allow yourself to sink into this pose as much as you can, to soften into it. And just like you are sinking into and surrendering to this pose, how can you sink into and surrender to your emotions or to your sensations or feelings coming up in the body? And I don't mean that in a way to where you lose control and where they completely take over. I mean in a way that allows you to experience them fully without suppressing, minimizing, or amplifying them. It's just like you're here, you are a messenger, you are trying to tell me something, you are needing my attention, so I'm going to give that to you. What do you need from me? Do you need me to feel you out? Do you need me to express you in a healthy manner? What is it? What do you need? And then honoring whatever it is your body, your emotions, your feelings are telling you. Don't attach. Don't avoid. Allow. Honor. Inhale, start to bring yourself up off of the mat if you are down on it. Well, obviously we're all down on the mat, but you know, like the upper body if it's down. Shift that left knee in to face the middle of the front of your mat, and then swing the right leg over cross. We're going to do half Gomukhasana. Now on the opposite side, I'm going to face you. Inhale, and then exhale. Start to shift your weight forward. You may notice that one side is tighter than the other. And that's perfectly okay. It's perfectly normal. Use the breath to breathe into whatever is arising for you. Breathe into the sensations. If you've got a really tight like groin or hip or anything like that, imagine as though your breath is being sent into that sensation. And similarly, you know, if you've got an emotion or a sensation arising in the body unrelated to the yoga pose and maybe related to whatever you're processing, try to breathe into it. Imagine the breath going into that sensation or into that emotion and filling it with oxygen. It will help you to process, I promise. Inhale. Start to bring your upper body up off of the knees. And then you're going to shift the legs so that you're stacking the shins. So right ankle is over left knee. Right knee is over left ankle. I got it. Again, it's not the foot. You're not like sickling the foot here. No, it's the ankle. Flex that left foot. You can flex both feet. And then slowly and gently start to ease yourself down over the legs. Continuing to breathe into the sensations. allowing the breath to take you deeper, allowing the breath to help you soften, allowing the breath to help you release tension. Notice if you are clenching the jaw and release it, if so. On the next exhale, start to walk yourself up off of the legs. Whew. Gently and slowly, let me shift back to face the front of the mat. You're going to bring your left hand toward your left knee. As you shift your weight forward, swing that right leg back behind you and just stretch out the body. Bring the right hand up overhead. Shift that left hip forward, like you're bringing it toward the right long edge of your mat. Stretching out that groin. Inhale, bring the right hand back down to the mat. Pivot as you bring your left foot back to downward dog. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend the knees and slowly bring the body down. You're going to swing the legs over so that they are in front of you. And if you've got a block, grab it. If you don't have a block, that's okay. You can, I'll give a modification after this, a block or a book, okay? So if you've, actually let me give the modification first. If you don't have a block or a book, that way you can just get straight into it. Go ahead and put the hands underneath the bum. Actually, bring yourself onto to elbows first, and then bring the hands underneath the bum. Actually, doesn't matter if you did it one way or the other. Get yourself safely here, okay? And then slowly and gently, we're going into fish pose. Bring the chest up and bring the head back behind you, slowly and gently, opening up the heart, opening up the throat chakra. All right, if you don't, or if you do have a block or a book and you're going to use it, place that block between the shoulder blades. The bottom of the block will be just below your bra line, just above where the ribs end. And then slowly you're going to bring yourself onto the block and then extend the arms first. Let me see. Extend the arms out into a T. And then slowly, slowly and gently bring that head back to rest on the mat. And it doesn't matter which pose you're in, you're not missing out if you don't have the block. Actually, depends on how you want to look at it. I personally, when I finally got a block, I was like, what the heck? Why didn't I get one sooner? Because this pose with this block is amazing, okay? And I used to do it with my Harry Potter book all the time, but it was, it was kind of hard. If you're using a book, you feel me on this one. Like, it's like, because the book wants to separate, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's hard to balance on a book. It is, unless you taped the book, but who wants to tape a Harry Potter book? Like, I mean, you could. I didn't want to tape mine. I freaking love Harry Potter, but anyway, that's beside the point. Blocks are awesome, but if you don't have one, you can modify to get the same benefits. And honestly, if I had a block at first, I probably wouldn't have been able to get into this pose because my spine wasn't used to yoga yet. And so this wasn't accessible for me at first with the way, because my spine is fused from my T12 to my L4. But now this feels like heaven. So anyway, that's some random chit chat that has nothing to do with the practice. But sometimes when we're experiencing emotions, we gotta distract. So I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. That's actually a skill for distress tolerance. And that's when shit's really intense. That's when it's super extreme and you gotta distract. And it's not a skill you want to use every day or every time. It's just for really intense things.
when you're ready and with you're able, it's really important to feel it all, not distract, not avoid. If you are using the block, actually everyone, take one last cycle of breath here. And if you are using the block, on the exhale, bring your elbows in and bring your hands down by your bum. You can tuck the hands underneath the bum if you want. Now everybody slowly and gently start to bring the head back up. No whipping the head here. This is slow and gentle. If you've got the block underneath you, go ahead and remove it from underneath you. And then now everybody start to bring your elbows out to the sides as you lay your upper body and back down onto the mat. Bring the knees in. Give them a good hug. You can rock left and right here. We're going to take a quick supine twist and then end the class. Inhale, bring the right knee in, extend the left leg out onto the mat. Exhale as you bring the right leg over into a twist. Right hand is extended out onto the mat. Your gaze can be out toward the right hand. If that's too intense of a twist, just bring your gaze up to be neutral. You can also bring both legs over to the left for a less intense twist. But if this feels good, then stay here. Inhale, bring the right knee, or bring the body back to lay on the back. Bring the left knee in, right leg extends, and exhale, twist over to, so the left knee drops over to the right, left hand extends out onto the mat, can be in a T or in a cactus or goal pose, and gaze is out towards the hand. Inhale, roll back onto the spine. Hug the knees in one last time. You can bring forehead up to knees. And then slowly extend the legs out onto the mat. You can take traditional shavasana or option to take reconstructive rest pose. If you want to take constructive rest pose, bend the knees, bring the feet wide on the mat, point the toes in towards each other, heels are out, and then cross one arm over the other and bring the arms over the face. And check in with the body. Let's release the controlled long exhales and take a body scan. Starting at the crown of the head, bring your awareness to the crown. And slowly, with all of your awareness, bring the attention down the face. Release any and all tension that you're able to detect. Down into the neck, into the shoulders, down the arms, into the hands, the wrists, into the fingertips, down the chest, down the spine, into the rib cage, into the tummy, into the lower abdomen, into the hips, into the glutes, the bum, into the thighs, into the knees, into the calves, the shins, the heels, the feet, the toes. Noticing all of the sensations in the body. And then slowly
Bring your awareness now to the right side of the body. The entire right side of the body. The right arm, the right hand, the right fingers, the right chest, the right ribs, the right face, the right eye, the right forehead, the right elbow, the right jawline, the right collarbone, the right rib cage, the right stomach, the right hip, the right glute, the right thigh, the right knee, the right calf, the right foot, the right toes. And then bring it all over to the left. Bring your attention to the right hand, the right fingers, the right arm, the right face, the right eye, the right forehead, the right eyebrow, the right cheek, the right jawline, the right collarbone, the right chest, the right rib cage, the right stomach, the right hip. Did I say the right? I think we're on the left. The left hip. I'm so sorry. Hopefully you knew what I meant. The left hip, the left glute, the left thigh, the left knee, the left calf, the left, I keep doing that. The left foot, the left toes. And then feel the whole body together. Feel the front half of the body. Feel the bottom half of the body. Feel the whole body. Now we're going to start to move out of this practice, out of Shavasana. So if you're in constructive rest pose, go ahead and straighten out the knees and bring the arms up overhead. Everybody do this. Bring the hands up overhead. Stretch the body. One big stretch. Hopefully when I switch the sides of the body in that little rotation of consciousness that we just did and that body scan type thing, it's called a rotation of consciousness. It's kind of a non-traditional form of it. Hopefully you switched over to the left side. My apologies if that was confusing. Exhale, start to bend the knees and then roll over onto one side, keeping the legs closed. Or the legs closed. Oh my gosh, words. The arms, the eyes closed. Jeez. And then on the next exhale, start to push yourself up off of the mat. Come to find a cross-legged seated position. Keeping the eyes closed. And just do a quick scan of the body. Notice where you're at. You don't need to do it in like the full way that we just quick. Just move the attention down the body. You might notice any like buzzing or fuzziness in the body. That's from the rotation of consciousness that we just did. It's used in Yoga Nidra. It's a way to really get a lot of rejuvenative rest out of the body. And it's just one part of Yoga Nidra. We didn't do the entire thing. And I didn't really do it in a traditional way. Kind of, you know. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end the practice. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead as you circle them up, around, hands will meet in a prayer position. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down to heart center as you chant one big Om. Bow your chin to your chest, third eye to fingertips. And thank yourself for making it to your mat, for prioritizing yourself, your health, your healing, and your well-being, prioritizing your body's needs, your emotions, your feelings, allowing yourself the time that you need to process, and then also giving yourself the permission that you may need to take any additional time you need to process. Remember, there's no need to rush the process. Go ahead and bow the upper body down to the ground and thank Mother Earth Gaia for supporting you, for allowing you to thrive off of her resources and her energy, for all of her beautiful creations, for her support. You can thank the universe, you can thank any guides or higher powers, God, Buddha, Allah, spirit guides, galactic team, and then go ahead and bring the body back up. And when you feel ready, gently, slowly open up the eyes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this practice. I hope that the slow, gentle class helped you to process. And as I said, take any additional time that you may need. Be gentle with yourself. Be patient with yourself. And try to be compassionate with yourself. You deserve it. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Namaste.